Welcome to Brew with the Zoo. My name is Scott and I'm going to be your host for the evening. And although we can't get together in person this year, we are very grateful to be able to get together through this virtual platform to raise some funds that support Woodland Park Zoo and our world-class animal care, conservation projects, and award-winning educational programs. We've got a ton of stuff in store for you tonight, including some keeper talks, an opportunity to win a really cool Call of the Wild experience. We've got some trivia and more. So thank you all for joining us tonight. We hope you have a really good time. And first off, we would like to give a really big thank you to all the breweries that helped make tonight's evening possible. Tonight's tasting will include these delicious local beers: Elysian's Night Owl Pumpkin Ale or their Contact Haze IPA, Southern Resident Chinook's Hazy IPA from Two Beers Brewing, Seattle Cider's Spiced Peach Cider, Space Rex Hazy IPA from Fremont Brewery, Matchless's Old World Lager, Grapefruit IPA from the Ghostfish Brewing Company, Mac and Jack's Amber Ale, Lucky Envelope's Antioch Mosaic IPA, Amplified Magnitude from Urban Family Brewing, and Georgetown Brewing Company's Bodhisattva IPA. Now let's get to our first tasting. It's going to be from Elysian Brewing, and depending on which pack you got, it's either going to be the Night Owl Pumpkin Ale or the Contact Haze IPA. Then stay tuned to hear from zookeeper Celine and her penguin friends, who have all dressed up for the occasion.
Hi, I'm Joe Basaka, one of the founders of Elysian Brewery, coming to you live from our tap room down in Georgetown. This is at our production facility at Airport and Lucille. You guys are going to be tasting some cool beers today from a lot of breweries and a couple from us. I hope you have a great time. A couple of the cool things we're working on as of late. Some eclectic beers you can find down here. One of the ones I'll point out is Gator Pie, which is a key lime sour. And it tastes like a key lime pie. We actually use graham crackers in it, so it tastes like it has a crust. It's kind of cool. Like to experiment with beers, do about 105, 106 beers a year. Sky's the limit. Not all of them work, but I think through that experimentation you come up with some things that are kind of cool. One of them being Night Owl, you guys are going to try today. This is a beer we did a bunch of years ago. Kind of came from the point that my partner Dick and I, didn't really like Oktoberfest as a style. Like Martins were a little sweet, they were a little heavy. We wanted something a little different, maybe something that felt a little more fall. Night Owl was born as a sessionable pumpkin ale. I guess sessionable for us is 6.7 ABV, so it is a little strong. Cinnamon, clove, nutmeg, allspice, ginger, spicing in it, so fairly complex, but very balanced, so it doesn't taste like an overwhelming amount of spice. It's actually something that you could drink pints of these things. They're really good. Comes out early in the year. We start brewing it in June, and you can find it in stores around until October 31st. So, as I mentioned, Night Owl is brewed with a plethora of spices. It is also brewed with toasted pumpkin seeds and green pumpkin seeds, and about 4 pounds of pumpkin meat per barrel. We did try adding the pumpkin at all different stages in the mash, in the whirlpool, and the fermentation, all over the place, just to get it right. The object there is it is a flavor that is present that you can pick out, but it's not overwhelming and you don't get palate burnout. You don't get palate burnout from the spicing either. It's very even, very well balanced. I think if there's one word that I'd love people to think of Elysian beers with, it's the word balanced. Everything is kind of playing nice at a real good level. Nothing is, the alcohol's not too hot, the spicing isn't too much, the flavors all work well together. And it is crisp, it is light, and it's not too sweet, and I think that's one of the other things. When these beers get a little sweet, that spicing comes a little more forward, and you feel a little more full. This is a fairly dry beer, so you can drink pints and pints of this stuff. And like I said, best description that I can give, it tastes like fall in a glass. Next beer you're going to try today is Contact Haze. Contact Haze we were looking at kind of the haze craze going on out there, all the New England hazies. And there were some things that I really loved about hazy beers. The juicy profile, the flavors are really wonderful. What I didn't like about them is some of them get a little thick, a little viscous, a little overly sweet. And sometimes the alcohol levels are so high you kind of drink a little tiny glass and you're done, and I wanted something you can have a little bit more of. So Contact Haze was born. So this is 6% ABV. We use, if you guys know Space Dust is a very hoppy beer. Contact Haze actually has 4 times the amount of hops in it than Space Dust does. That's to get that juicy flavor. So it's not a bitter beer, but it is an aromatic beer. The smell is amazing to it. The flavor profile too. You get passion fruit and mango and guava, as well as those citrus and pine notes you get out of hops. Delicious beer, something that you can drink all day long, which is kind of what I wanted. I wanted all those great flavors, but something that I could drink just pints and pints and pints of and still be put together by the end of the day. Contact Haze is a beautiful light color. It's subtly hazy. It's not going to be as viscous as I mentioned. And the haze is there really to carry those aromatic notes and to carry that flavor through that we want from all those hops. There's 5 different hops in here too, so it's a much more complex dosing than most beers get. And the passion fruit and guava really comes through. Actually get coconut back there too a little bit. There's some South African hops that we're using, as well as Yakima Valley hops. So getting them worldwide to give the best sort of profile that we can give out of it. But very drinkable, very delicious beer. We're in the middle of our barrel warehouse. This is actually at the tasting room, so you get to hang out here with us. Got Cyclops barley wine over here on the side. That is came in at 15.1% ABV, a little strong, but balanced and delicious. The tasting room is open up 12 to 7 on Thursdays, 2 to 8 on Fridays, 2 to 8 on Saturdays, and 2 to 7 on Sundays. You can come down here and try some beers you can't find anywhere else. Hope to see you down here soon.
Hello everybody, my name is Celine. Welcome to the Woodland Park Zoo Humboldt Penguin exhibit. Today you're about to meet some of my friends and learn a little bit about why it's so important to conserve the Humboldt penguin. Okay, so here we have Diamante, we have Solomon, we have Cruz, we have Gordito. All my little friends are around me here. A lot of these guys are about 2 and 3 years of age, and as you can see, they are quite active and quite rambunctious. All right, one of the things I want to show you today, one of the amazing adaptations of penguins, is that they're predators, right? Most people think of them as cute and funny, but they're actually stealth predators of the deep. And they love to eat fish, and everything about them is designed for being excellent predators and for eating those fast fish. Now, out in the wild, they live on anchovies and sardines. Here in the zoo, we feed them fish that are more readily available and sustainably caught. So that means capelin, that means silver sides. So I'm going to give them some fish, and I want you to notice a few things about the penguins. First off, they have excellent eyesight, both on land and underwater. And they're able to spot even the smallest of fish. Another thing I want you to notice is how they eat it. Do they eat tail first? What do you think, Saul? Oh, he ate that one tail first. Head first. That's typically how they eat their fish. So that's a very streamlined design. Goes down quicker. Less drag, right? One of the other adaptations of penguins, as you see them climbing up and down the stairs, is they have to be excellent jumpers and climbers, right? Now out in the wild, they're living atop cliffs that are 80 to 100 feet high, and they have to be able to scale and jump those cliffs so that they can make it on down to the ocean, get their food, hike on back up, take care of their chicks. So as you see, penguins have webbed feet that help them with the climbing and jumping. Same with those nice sharp claws that they have. They have sharp beaks with big hooks on the end so they can grab on to those fast fish and not let them go. We always want to take care of our environment, right? The natural world around us is a wonderful thing. And we want to make sure that we keep it clean, keep our oceans clean, keep them free of things like plastic and oil, pollution, things like that, right? Another thing we want to do is make sure there's enough fish for everybody, right? Humans and other animals eat sardines and anchovies too. So we want to make sure and live sustainably, right? Make sure that everybody has enough of what they need and make sure we as humans don't take too much from them. Thank you very much, you guys. Good to see ya.
Thank you, Celine, and thank you to the penguins. And also thank you to Elysian. Now let's hop into some trivia to test your knowledge about beer. And when we're done with that, we'll hear from Two Beers Brewing and then from the Seattle Cider Company.
Hi, my name is Mara, and I am the Marketing and PR Manager for Two Beers Brewing and Seattle Cider Company. Today, you're joining us from our tasting room, The Woods in Soto, where it's awesome because we actually have over 30 taps of cider and beer. A lot of folks don't know or maybe don't realize that Seattle Cider Company and Two Beers Brewing are sibling companies. So we're in the unique position to share with you both beer and ciders today. So you'll get to hear from our cider makers, our brewers, and hopefully enjoy everything that you taste through with us.
Welcome to Two Beers and Seattle Cider. My name is Jesse Ransavage, and I'm the head brewer here at Two Beers. We're going to go through this beer right here, which is the Southern Resident Chinook Hazy IPA. So you should have one of these sitting right in front of you, and we're going to go through the tasting notes on it right now. So let's crack this open and jump on in. So to start with this, I'll start with the salmon safe hops that we use that are in here. The Chinook hops were produced by a hop farmer that the only way that they make their hops is with salmon safe materials. So anything that runs off from their farm and does make it to any water source is safe for all the fish and wildlife in the area. It doesn't change anywhere down the road, which is great. All right, let's try the aroma on this. It's great. It's there's some stone fruit, some heavy tropical fruit, and let's jump in with a sip. So the fruits that I'm getting, I get a little bit of peach, a lot of plum. Let's see some of the other stone fruits. What are you finding in it? Some pear maybe. And then on the nose, I'm getting, let's see. Definitely some plum. Maybe a little bit of pineapple. So with this is a hazy IPA, like I said. And with the brewing process, we lower the whirlpool temperature and add a lot of late addition hops. So what that gives you guys is a very aromatic and very tasteful beer without all the bitterness that comes with a normal IPA. So with what makes this a hazy IPA is we add more malt that has higher protein content, and that's what's going to leave that haziness, so you don't really get to see through it as well. And we use a small amount of Simcoe, which is another hop that we found pairs very nicely with the Chinook hops. So with that throughout the process, these are the only two hops, mainly Chinook, that are in this beer. And it's all, like I said, very late addition hops that really turn this into a great beer. So this fits into our lineup extraordinarily well because we have our West Coast IPA, which is our flagship IPA, the Wonderland Trail, which also is another funded towards national parks. And then we've got our Pilsner, which you can get here in our tasting room, our seasonals, which are mostly IPAs that you can find, and those will vary from hazy IPAs to West Coast IPAs. And we have pretty much the gamut when it comes to beers on tap. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this as much as I have. I'm going to finish this off camera. Please come down and visit us next time you're down in the Soto area. Cheers.
So in addition to obviously supporting the Woodland Park Zoo through this amazing Brew With the Zoo event today, thanks for inviting us, we do a lot of cause-based partnerships in the area. So we focus with local partners like the Washington National Parks Fund or the Sea Dock Society. That wonderful Southern Resident IPA that you're drinking today, that's going towards supporting marine stewardship in the Salish Sea. So a lot of this fundraising or a lot of these dollars or a lot of these partnerships, we try to keep them right here in our backyard. Additionally, we love to make amazing drier ciders that are really full-bodied with great flavors. So this nice cardamom and peach forward amazingness of spiced peach that's going to get you ready for fall, whether you're ready for it or not. That's going to be your perfect sipping cider on your porch while the leaves are falling down. We do have a pumpkin spice too, so don't forget, like we have all of your pumpkin needs, but spiced peach is just kind of a nice introduction to the wonderful fall weather that we see here in Seattle. But back to some of our cause-based efforts. We do love supporting local as much as possible. We have a number of partners in the area and often get an opportunity to further fundraise by donating $1 per pint in our tasting room, the Woods. So we'll give you a heads up as we're doing those things, and you can come on down here and join us, whether you're taking package to go or if we're pouring a pint for you here.
Welcome to Seattle Cider. My name is Monique. I am the lead cider maker here, and today we're going to be tasting our Spiced Peach, which is our fall seasonal cider. And this cider is done in a co-fermentation style. We do quite a few of those here at Seattle Cider, including our basil mint. A lot of our fruited ciders are all co-fermented, meaning we take the fresh pressed apple juice and we take whatever other ingredients that we're using, throw them in a tank, let them do their thing. So we use roughly 500 pounds of dried peach pieces, which weighs pretty much nothing in the beginning, and we also use roughly 10 to 15 pounds of cardamom spice, which is the spice in the spice peach. Going into the tank, these things weigh very little. Coming out, these bags are so heavy, incredibly heavy. They're just saturated, but all of that flavor, everything that you would get from a dried peach or cardamom spice just gets exposed inside the cider and brings this lovely color to our cider. I'll start with telling you how it smells. It's very, very cardamom forward, very light on the peach in my personal opinion. If you don't like cardamom, I'm gonna say you're probably not gonna enjoy this cider, but the cardamom is super fresh, super tasty. One of my favorite ciders here. If you really want to nerd out, we use a white wine yeast called D47, which is pretty straightforward white wine yeast. It can be a little finicky, but everybody back in our cellar kind of has a pretty good hand on it. We know what we're doing with it. But it also brings a lot of beautiful floral notes to the cider that basically they go perfectly together with the peach and the cardamom. So you get a really bright, floral, just crushable cider. All right, we know you're here to drink beer, but don't forget about our cider because we take pride in bridging the gap between wine and beer. So we take an approach, well, first off, I'll talk about our measurement of sugar, which we use the term bricks. And on the back of our cans, we have a scale from 0 to 5 that will kind of give you roughly the idea of how sweet or how dry one of our ciders will be. And in Spice Peach's case, it's a little bit more on the drier side, but a lot of the times, if you're not familiar or you're not a cider drinker, there's something called perceived sweetness, where acids and anything that is in the cider could kind of trick your palate a little bit. The peach, the cardamom can come across a little bit sweeter than it actually is. So Spice Peach is actually quite dry. We do add a tiny bit of sugar back to it, which is pure cane sugar, and that definitely just gives it a nice balance. This has really great acid. It has just the right amount of sugar to give a very balanced cider. Okay, I like to differentiate beer and cider because cider's not made like beer. Beer's not made like cider here anyways. We take more of a wine-making approach where we're lucky enough to already have the sugars in our base to start our fermentation, all the sugar from the apples. So kind of like grapes. So we kind of we're using a lot of champagne yeast, white wine yeast, so definitely going down the avenue of like making a white wine, which is a little bit of a colder fermentation. Nothing gets too crazy hot. We're preserving a lot of those flavors in the fresh pressed apple juice by taking a winemaking approach.
So I just wanted to say thank you so much for joining us today. We are open 7 days a week in SoDo. That's again our tasting room, The Woods, that serves both Two Beers Brewing and Seattle Cider Company. We've got food from Bread and Circuses. We've been kind of eyeballing the menu all day while we're here, so hopefully you can come down and join us. But we're open 7 days a week, Monday through Thursday starting at 3 to 7. Friday from 3 to 9, and then Saturday from 12 to 7, and Sunday, or from 12 to 9, and then Sunday from 12 to 7. So we hope you can come down here and join us, and we hope to see you soon. Cheers.
Hello again. We hope you enjoyed hearing from Two Beers Brewing and the Seattle Cider Company. So now we're going to head over to the Savannah, and you're going to get a close-up look at one of the tallest members of our zoo family.
Hi, my name's Lauren. I'm one of the Savannah keepers here at Woodland Park Zoo, and I have Dave here with me. He is a reticulated giraffe. He is 7 years old, and he came to us about 4 years ago. So Dave here is about 16.5 feet tall, and he is showing off his very impressive tongue. That's actually one of my favorite adaptations on these animals. So you can see behind us here, he's got some of what we call brows. Now, giraffes only eat plants, so he's a really big animal, so he has to eat a lot of plants. So Dave here could eat about 70 pounds of browse every single day. So what he's doing is he's going to use that tongue to help him rip leaves off to help him to eat. Now, he's going to eat every part of that, including some of the small branchy bits. So he is what we call a ruminant. So he is really, really good at eating food that doesn't have a lot of calories in it, but actually processing it down so he can get all the nutrients out of it. So what he's gonna do is he's gonna eat this food, it's gonna go into his stomach, and then he's actually gonna bring it back up and chew it some more so that way he can process it down even better. So every day he is getting about anywhere from 30 to 50 pounds of food a day. In the wild, he would eat primarily acacia, which is a type of plant found in Africa. These guys are found all over Africa. There's anywhere from 2 to 9 subspecies of giraffe because we are constantly finding new information that helps us decide what are most closely related. Here in the savannah, we have 2 different species of giraffe. We have a reticulated, like Dave, and we have Rothschild, who are out there behind us. Now Dave looks a little bit different than our Rothschild giraffe. He has this lighter brown coloring and these really big spots, and a Rothschild giraffe has a much darker spot that actually has a lot more jaggedy parts to it and a softer edge. So if you guys come out here, you can see that we have 2 different types of giraffe here, which is a really cool thing. Now, so his tongue here, if you guys can see that, it's very prehensile. And down here, he actually has a tongue that is different colors. So if you look, he's got purple down at the end of his tongue there. So what that actually does is it acts as a natural sunscreen. So when he is eating for many, many hours a day, he could actually get a sunburn on his tongue. So it's very important for him to be comfortable eating. So that's a really great way that they've adapted to help them survive in that environment. It's also incredibly tough. Acacia has very sharp thorns on it, and what they do is they're able to wrap that tongue around and remove the leaves without hurting themselves. Nice. So giraffe in the wild eat mostly acacia, and one of the ways that you can help them is by actually picking out pieces of wood that are sustainably harvested. So they will be stamped by the Forestry Stewardship Council if they have been, and that's a great way to help giraffe in the wild since they are a vulnerable species.
Welcome back, everyone. We hope you enjoyed checking out our tallest members of the zoo, the giraffes. And we also hope you're learning a lot about the beers and the breweries that we're bringing for you tonight. But now, let's venture to the center of the universe for a visit with Fremont Brewing.
Hey, my name is Matt with Fremont Brewing. We are in the Urban Beer Garden, our tasting room here in lovely Fremont. And if you've never heard of Fremont Brewing before, here you go. We were started in 2009, that's 11 years ago. And started back in the day when this part of the neighborhood was not known. Since that time, our neighborhood has grown around us and grown to accept us as kind of the front door of Fremont. We have a large beer garden, indoor and outdoor. Everybody's welcome, no tables, no food, no reservations. It's more just like the front yard for the neighborhood. You can come, bring your own food, and enjoy activities with anybody you want. And our beer not only has been accepted by the neighborhood, but we've since traveled around the world. Our beer is now in 4 different countries up and down the West Coast. And we are here today to talk about the awesome Zoo Beer Festival that y'all are enjoying right now, and our beer Space Rex, which we entered into the festival. Space Rex, for us, is a new seasonal. So it's in a hazy IPA series. So if you don't know what a hazy IPA is, basically you construct an IPA, typically it's in the 6 to 7% ABV range. And then you intentionally introduce some flakes, wheat, and oats into the beer, and let that the wheat and the oats appear to cloud up the beer. So those protein molecules stay in solution in the beer, and it gives it that hazy appearance. So the haze really is, it's not hop particles on there, it's not yeast. Really what it is, it's the wheat and oat proteins that stay suspended in the solution of the beer. It also gives it a really nice, soft, rounded character, which we find escalates and kind of features the fruity nature of hops. So this beer is actually a really fun beer for us. You know, we love to play with hops. So we do IPA every day, all day, 372 days a year. We actually have an organic farm over in Yakima that we work collaboratively with hop growers. from the Yakima Valley. And we've been experimenting with new different varieties of organic hops for 10 years, actually this year. This one has a new hop called Talus, fresh off the experimental program that we've been using and experimenting with for about 3 years now. It finally got out of the experimental stage and made it into the full commercial stage. So we decided to feature it in Space Rex. And it has another one called Mosaic, and then an old school hop called Centennial. So this beer really bridges the old school kind of nice piney bitterness world of hops with the brand new school of fruit forward, pungent, orange, mango characters that you get out of some of these new phenomenal hops. And it's all highlighted by the malt backbone of these hazy IPAs. So out there today, I encourage you to enjoy a glass of Space Rex, see if you can pick out those wonderful fruity notes, and then when you're done, you can go onto the website for the zoo and donate, because the zoo only operates through our help and our assistance and our care. They provide conservation assistance to organizations and featuring animals that people never would have a chance to interact with, from wolves to penguins to gorillas. And it's not just for entertainment's sake. The idea is that they do a great job of bridging the education side, where your exposure to the animal is always tied in to a conservation message. So these species can fulfill our goal, which is to persist in the wild. So yeah, we make IPAs 365 days a year. It's what we love. We love working with our farmers here in Washington State. And this is the epicenter of the hop growing region, hops growing in the world. So that's a lot of fun for us. We have a great deal of passion about it. However, we do make a bunch of other beers, and specifically, most people around the world, if you do know of Fremont, you know us because of our bourbon barrel age program. One of the largest barrel age programs in the world. Definitely what we spend an enormous amount of our time on. We make a lot of this relative to how the industry makes this kind of beer, but it's really not a ton of beer. For us, it just takes a long time. So the beer itself is specially crafted. These are all darker beers, like dark winter ales and stouts. The beers are specially crafted to spend time in the barrels that we select. We specifically select old bourbon barrels of a certain vintage. We like ours between 7 and 15 years old. And we age the beer in these barrels for a minimum of 1 year, up to 3 years. And then every time we have a new release, a new blend of these various barrels and various beers, it's always a multi-vintage blend. So we'll take a 2-year blend, a 2-year beer, a 1-year beer, and blend those together, sometimes with a younger beer. It really just depends on how the beer comes out of the barrels. And one of the exciting things about working with wood and barrel-aged beer is you can put the same beer in 450 bourbon barrels, relatively of the same vintage, of the same spirit, and each barrel is going to have a unique characteristic. So when we do our blends, we go through and we taste each and every barrel. We'll taste upwards of 1,300 barrels over the course of our releases for barrel season, with tasting notes on each individual barrel, and then we'll blend them together based on those notes. So yeah, the work never ends here at Fremont Brewing. Work all day long. And the other thing that we love is Pilsner. So we make an enormous amount of Pilsners and lagers. We have a year-round Pilsner called Golden Pilsner, which is featured on tap right here. And then a whole series of smaller Pilsners and lagers, Martins, etc., that are available throughout the year. So we encourage you, go out and enjoy some awesome IPAs. Fremont loves IPAs. But definitely if you're looking to branch out, you can branch out and try some of the Pilsners. Our Golden is on available 365 days. We also have a really nice oatmeal stout. It's a larger beer, about 8%, called Dark Star. Kind of the epicenter of where our dark beer universe began. And that's available year-round in grocery stores. The cool thing is, if you're into accolades, our bourbon barrel-aged beers right now occupy 6 of the top 10 highest-rated dark beers in the world by the largest rating agency we have. So it's kind of cool. Right here in Fremont, you can go and get some world-class beer and drink it with your friends in an appropriate and safe manner. We're open at the UBG, is what we call it, the Urban Beer Garden, 363 days a year, roughly from 11 to 10, based on the season. Sometimes it's 12 to 9. But You can come down, bring your own food. You can have anything, any food delivered here and eat it right here at the beer garden. So it can be a fun, friendly, affordable family place to go.
Welcome back, and a big thank you to Matt over there at Fremont Brewing. Next, we'd like to introduce you to keeper Janelle and her friend Skyana for a special Call of the Wild. And don't forget to stay tuned for your opportunity to win a special Call of the Wild experience of your very own.
Thanks, Scott. Hi, everybody. I hope you're having a wonderful time tonight. My name is Janelle, and I am the manager of the Ambassador Animal Department here at the Woodland Park Zoo. And today I have one of my best friends with me. This is Skyana, and Skyana is a North American porcupine. Like their name suggests, North American porcupines can be found all over North America, but particularly here in the Pacific Northwest, which makes them a really special local animal. North American porcupines are the second largest rodent in North America, which means that they're fairly large, but they're pretty hard to see out in their natural environment because they are nocturnal, meaning that they would prefer to be up at night rather than during the day. If you are out in the woods, not only might you need to be up at night to get a look at them, but also you might need to not be looking down on the ground, you might need to look up, because porcupines are arboreal, which means that they spend a lot of time in trees. They have lots of special adaptations, which makes them really great at climbing. The first of those adaptations is those nice, beautiful front nails that you can see as she holds on to that delicious snack. So those front nails are particularly long, and it allows them to grab onto the bark and to climb up the base of trees and to hold on to branches, making them really safe and stable up in the trees. They have strong front legs and strong back legs, and also a really specialized tail that looks a little bit like a beaver tail, meaning that it's wide and flat. And they use the base of that to help when they're scooching up and down trees, kind of like a little bit of a brace or an extra limb to keep them from falling backwards. Good job. Because they are nocturnal, they don't have very good eyesight. As you can see, her eyes are pretty small. She has a great sense of smell with that big old nose and a pretty good sense of hearing. She has small little ears that look a little bit like bear ears that are tucked away in her fur. Skyana has lots of different types of fur. She has what are called guard hairs, and those are the long hairs that are covering her body. Those guard hairs and that dense hair underneath is soft and helps to keep her warm. Living in the Pacific Northwest, it can get very cold. They're perfectly comfortable in the warmer temperatures in the summer. They'll shed all of that under hair and those guard hairs off, and during the winter, they'll grow it out again. They'll get nice and fluffy, and that'll help to keep her warm when it's nice and cold out. Skyana also has a specialized type of hair called a quill. Now, most of people know about porcupines is that they not only have quills, but that those quills can help protect them. There is, of course, a myth about porcupines that they can shoot their quills. But just like you and I, even if I tried very hard, I could not shoot the hair off the top of my head, and neither can Skyana. So those quills are a modified hair. They are dense, but they're hollow on the inside. So they're hard but hollow, and they're very sharp on the ends. So they actually have microscopic barbs on them that once they touch something, it's really hard to pull off, kind of like a fishing hook. Their whole body is covered with quills, and that helps to protect them. The only parts of their body that does not have quills is their belly and their bottoms of their feet. So they are really, really well protected with those quills, and that is really their best defense against predators. So North American porcupines, again, use those quills to help keep them nice and safe. They're not very fast. As you can see, she's not a cheetah. She's not gonna run away. She doesn't have sharp claws or other things to help protect her. So those quills are really, really important to porcupines. Skyana is an ambassador animal here at the Woodland Park Zoo, which means that she spends a lot of her time out with people, getting really comfortable. But of course, during COVID, she has done a lot of these Call of the Wilds, which means that she's been able to reach people all over the world digitally and help to encourage them to care about wildlife and care about conservation just in a little different way than she's used to. Now, I know you guys have been told that a lucky one of you is going to get to have one of our amazing ambassador animals join you in a Call of the Wild. So we're going to be giving away a Call of the Wild to whoever can answer this question. About how many quills does a porcupine have on its body? And I'll give you a hint, it's kind of a lot. So if you think you know the answer to that question, please email marketing@zoo.org, and that will help us. We will get to pick a winner and we'll get to join you on a Call of the Wild. You can choose Skyana or one of our other amazing ambassador animals. We're really excited to do it. If you don't win, don't worry. There will be another chance later tonight to win another Call of the Wild, or you can always go to zoo.org/Call of the Wild and have us join any one of your Zoom meetings later. We hope you guys have a wonderful rest of the night. Thank you so much for having us here, and enjoy the rest of your evening. Bye, everybody.
Thanks so much, Janelle. And don't forget to email your answers to marketing@zoo.org for your chance to win. We're almost ready to jump into the next tasting at Matchless Brewing, but first, let's test your knowledge about Woodland Park Zoo with some Woodland Park Zoo trivia.
Hi there, I'm Nick Crandall. I'm here and I'm very glad that you are all part of the Brew With the Zoo. and that we can be a part of it too. I'm coming here from Tumwater, Washington at Matchless Brewing Company. We've been around since 2016, and we're cranking out lots of IPAs and lagers, and today I've got for you a beautiful Czech lager called our Old World Lager. It's one of our house staff favorites here. It's definitely probably my favorite beer to brew here. On our Old World Lager, we're using a traditional decoction mash. This is not your typical mash regiment that you would see, but we have a pretty awesome brew house here in Tumwater, and we're able to do some very traditional decoction mashes, which adds a whole another level of depth to the beer without using any weird ingredients. It's just malted barley that's sourced from Germany that's just delicious. It's got a lot of nice bready notes, brings out a real richness to the malt, and then we pair that with some Satz hops from the Czech Republic. That have a very herbal, floral, flowery note to it that finishes with a nice spicy twist. And then to put all that together, we use a lager yeast that we source from the Czech Republic that just kind of provides the exact right balance of sweetness and dryness that allows this beer to really shine. 5.2% ABV, so it's not going to get you in too much trouble at the end of the night. Yeah, so here at Matchless, we've got a lot of things going on. We're cranking out IPAs, largely hazy IPAs. That's kind of our main forte with as many West Coast IPAs as we can kind of fit in there. So we do a lot of that, and then we like to have fun with lagers here. As you'll be able to see in the Old World Lager, but we also do a host of more inventive beers in that same realm, whether it's our most recent Keller Pils, which is an unfiltered Pilsner featuring a brand new or a more new age hop of Palisade. That is a much more fruit forward finish. But then we like to play around with a lot with that. And then we have a very intensive barrel program that's going on with lots of sour beers with pretty much every fruit you can kind of think of available. But yeah, lots of that coming out with those. We're packaging those every week, and then those get released. So you'll find those in glass bottles, and then we have a wide array of cans with a canning line on site. Lots of big barrel-aged beers. The day that I'm taping this, we're actually in the middle of brewing one of our next stouts that'll be coming out. So you can come down and visit us in Tumwater, Washington. We're a short trip off of I-5. Great pit stop on your way to Portland. And then we're generally open from 3 to close, typically around 8 or 9. If you're not looking to travel down here to come find us, we're in most better bottle shops, Met Market, and PCCs across Seattle. I just want to thank everyone for coming and being a part of this great program. We're excited to be a part of it. And I look forward to seeing you all soon with a Matchless beer in your hand. Cheers.
Hey everyone, we're going to take a quick 10-minute break, so go ahead and finish up those beers, refill those bowls of snacks, and we'll be back shortly with some more tasting. Welcome back, everyone. Let's jump over and take a look at Ghostfish Brewing Company, followed by a visit from a very special guest. And then we'll check in with Mac and Jack's Brewing Company.
Welcome to Ghostfish Brewing Company. I'm Colin.
I'm Erin.
And we're going to be talking about grapefruit IPA. I've obviously started mine. But you'll be starting yours soon, if not already.
That's right.
And we're going to talk just a little bit first how we started here. I am a year-and-a-half veteran, and you're a few-year veteran
about
here.
3.
And I'm the tapper manager.
And events coordinator, beer ambassador, Kegs with Legs instructor.
Yeah, great workout program. The wife loves it.
Yeah.
And you get a beer afterwards, so you can't argue with that. But we actually met last year with the same organization at the zoo. That was the first time we did the same event together, and it was a fantastic time meeting all the other breweries, all the other fans of beer, kind of getting the feedback. It was a great and by far one of the best events I've done, especially when you have animals involved. It's great.
It's fabulous.
Oh, by the way, I hope you appreciate my zebra, and this is the doe we got going here.
Snuggies for sale at the end. Yeah. Onesies that you take from your daughter.
But I recently went there again with my wife. It was a fantastic time. They did a great job spacing people out, making it safe and still fun. Can't wait to go again. Can't wait for this event, Brew at the Zoo, to be at the zoo again. And I will definitely either go there as a part of Ghostfish or as a fan, because I had a great time. Definitely glad they're here, and we're going to talk a little bit more about the beer in a second. We're going to talk about Ghostfish Brewing Company as a whole. Now, we started about 5 years ago. We just had our 5th anniversary this year.
Right. This beer's 5th anniversary as well.
Yeah.
Grapefruit IPA.
Yeah, so we're located in the SoDo section of Seattle here near the stadiums. And pardon the noise back there, we're actually brewing and canning more grapefruit. So if you do hear that, that is just part of brewery life. That's just what you get when you come here. It gets a little noisy.
True that.
But yeah, we love it. I miss it. So yeah, today this is Grapefruit IPA. It is a little more of a West Coast style IPA here. A little hop kind of punch.
Very much so.
With a little citrus kind of notes there. Now, the thing that makes us a little bit different than other breweries, which you may or may not know, is we are gluten-free, and that's across the board. The food, beer, everything is 100% certified gluten-free. So we are one of just a few establishments in the nation and the world that does this at the full range that we do. So this is by far the most popular beer, though, especially being on the West Coast. You want that hoppy IPA, this is it. We have it in cans. We have it in 16-ounce cans, 12-ounce cans, and on draft.
Right.
And we're going to go into a little bit more of the tasting notes here. And I know you were kind of talking about the color and the smells and everything,
Absolutely.
so take it away.
All right, let's start with what it looks like. So holding it up to a clear or white background, or some light would be also helpful. You can notice how golden amber color, you can see that, and then a nice, well, I just poured it, and actually we'll just do this one more time so you can see the beautiful head on it.
Love that sound.
All of this, I know, all this contributes, the carbonation and the head, the foam on the top there, all contribute to the aromatics that you get when you bring your nose up to the glass. Take a nice sniff. Yeah, absolutely. Swirl it.
No, very fruity nose. I mean, I think that's where you get a lot of that kind of aromas and the citrus there, even more so than the actual taste. And so a lot of people are kind of thrown off. They're like, oh, I don't want grapefruit. It's really not overwhelming. It's more of a really classic kind of IPA, just with a slight citrus twist there.
Right, but it is pronounced bitterness. So, and I will say, so when you do taste it, here we go.
We'll have that bitter. It's not a hazy. It's definitely a bitter IPA, like a strong IPA. Now we do have hazies, and they are pretty fruity and out there.
Those aren't bitter though. They're designed to not be bitter, just the hop aroma.
But this is a little bit different. This is our classic, yeah, you said 5 years old. It's won many medals through many different festivals. It's won gold medal, silver medal, and 2 bronze so far, I believe.
Yeah. So what I'll tell you about what's in here. So we brew with, this really is a beer, an American-style IPA with fruit puree added. So it's the grapefruit puree that gives it that grape grapefruit peel rind kind of flavor. It's not like juicy grapefruit. Then we also have hops in there that are help accent and make, add complexity. We have Cascade hops as well as Horizon hops, just enough to give it some, resinous characters, a little bit of floral, tinge of spice. So you can definitely taste that. Bring it to your.
Oh, it's
your
fantastic.
glass, yeah.
And of course, we're doing, as much as we can, local or kind of small, kind of more family-owned operations for getting the hops. Obviously, being Washington, Yakima Valley is, our pride and joy. As well as, sourcing the grains, because we don't use the normal malts. We do source it. There is a company that we've been working with for a long time in Colorado that has been treating us just fantastic. Grouse is their name. As well as we have been going, now that Skagit Valley has gotten into this gluten-free malting kind of category, we have been going a little bit more local as well, which is fantastic.
This is where we get our buckwheat. Right? Yep. And also California is where we also source some Eckert. At Eckert malting, we get primarily brown rice and millet there.
Keeping it as close as we can, West Coast, getting as fresh ingredients as we can. And I know we did a fresh hop version last year of this beer, which sold out, and it was just fantastic. And that was an experimental hop, just kind of like how this first started back in the day.
Tell us about that.
Back in the day. That was before my time. I don't know.
Me too.
But we do have a new fresh hop coming out, though. Not citrusy and grapefruit, but it is coming out. It's going to be very nice. Well, thank you for joining us. I hope you learned a lot about us and Brew With the Zoo. Hope you enjoyed the beer. And
we did have to take a little break because it was hot. So
the zebra got to me a little bit there. But we do want to talk to you a little bit about where you can find us and our beer. We are in Soto, a few blocks south of the stadiums here on First Avenue. We have plenty of beer here, as well as we're able to ship it. We have DoorDash that ships beer and food as well.
And I'd like to talk about where you can get grapefruit IPA specifically in Washington. So natural food stores like PCC, Met Market. There's a ton of them. Did I say Whole Foods? Yes. Costco. Also bigger chains like Costco, Bevmo, and Total Wine & More. And what's very recognizable now, since we've gone from 4-pack to 6-pack, and we did grow a pair. Yes, we did. Is we are probably one of the first gluten-free breweries to go into a 6-pack. So I'm really excited about that. We've really managed to,
Now it is just grapefruit, but we're hoping getting there with all of them. As we expand, still in our tiny little brewery here. But as we kind of brew more beer for your satisfaction. Hopefully get more 6-packs coming. And we're also in Chuck's Hop Shop. We're in bottle shops. We're in a lot of places around Seattle, around Washington, and a few other states. You ship beer, not only in Washington, but Washington, D.C., Ohio, and I think Virginia is on the list as well, or at least coming.
Not yet.
So there's a lot of options, and we thank you so much for joining us. And
we hope to see you in the tap
hope
room.
to see you soon. Cheers.
Cheers. Enjoy.
Hi everybody, my name is Kelly and I'm an animal keeper here at the Woodland Park Zoo. Today I have the special privilege of introducing you to my good friend, Clyde. Clyde here is a Virginia opossum. These animals are found all across North America, so you might have seen something like him before, but only if you've been out at night. They are completely nocturnal, meaning that Clyde likes to spend all of his fun times out at night, where he spends lots of times hunting and foraging and finding all sorts of good snacks to eat. Virginia opossums are omnivores, meaning they eat just about anything. So Clyde right here is having some delicious snacks of different vegetables, meats, even some dog kibble and hard-boiled eggs. All these things are really good for his system and for his teeth. If Clyde were to be out in the wild, he would eat things such as other dead animals, small rodents, and lots of bugs. Virginia opossums are super important in their environment because they do eat different kinds of bugs and pests, especially ticks. A possum like Clyde here can eat 5,000 ticks in a single year. Now, if he's eating all those ticks, that means they're not in your backyard,
getting on your dogs or even yourselves and causing different diseases like Lyme disease and gross stuff like that. So possums are great for our environment by helping limit the spread of disease. Not only do they eat lots of really great things in our backyards, but they are super unique in North America because they are the only marsupials found here. Now, marsupial is an animal that has live babies that then climb into a pouch located on their stomach where they grow up to get big and strong before coming out and hanging out with mom to learn how to survive. Marsupials are really common in places like Australia, but Virginia opossums are the only type of marsupials found here in North America. These animals can have up to 25 babies at a time. There's a nice avocado for Clyde, that's one of his favorites. 25 babies at a time, can you believe that? So they grow up in that pouch and then they come out, and as I'm sure you've seen before, they like to ride around on mom's back while they learn all of the different ways to find all those delicious treats they love to keep them healthy. Now Clyde here, he is about 2 years old and he weighs 8 pounds. So even though he's nice and big, he's actually a lot lighter than you'd think he'd be. He's got this nice coat on him that is actually super, super soft, and it has these white guard hairs around it to keep him dry and warm outside in the elements. Great job, Clyde. As you watch Clyde chew there, see if you can see some of those sharp teeth in his mouth. You see those right there, and listen to him chew? Those teeth are super important and very, very cool because they're sharp just like a cat's, and possums actually have the most teeth in their mouths of any land animal. They have over 50 of those big sharp chompers in there. Isn't that right, Clyde? As you watch him eat those snacks there, look at those front feet. He's got those nice 5 toes there, and they look almost like a person's hand, don't they? That's so that he can hang on to different trees when he's climbing. As you can see, he's in a tree right now, and also helps him grip different food sources that he's going to eat. Possums are excellent climbers, mainly because of this amazing prehensile tail down here. Now, prehensile means that it can operate almost like a 5th limb. So he can wrap it all the way around those tree branches to help him stay in the tree and climb really, really well. That's a super cool adaptation that's unique to opossums here in North America for climbing in those trees. Now Clyde here is part of our ambassador animal team, which means he is specially trained to come out, do media appearances like this, and also meet guests and visitors every day. So Clyde here is an excellent ambassador for his species, our environment right around us here in Washington, and to be coming on here and seeing all of you at home. So thanks so much for coming and visiting us today. We hope to see you guys in person soon, and have a great rest of your day.
Thanks for joining us for Brew with the Zoo. Since you won't be at the zoo enjoying the products, thanks for joining us online. Happy to be here to represent Mac and Jack's Brewing Company. My name is Dave Griner. I've been with the brewing company for about 23 years now, so I know a little bit about everything, done just about everything at the brewery. Washing and filling kegs, washing floors, brewing the beer, and now in the marketing and sales. So today we're going to be talking about our beers, talking about the origin of Mac and Jack's Brewing Company. It was started in 1993 in Jack Schropp's garage on the Sammamish Plateau. They hand kegged, hand brewed, and hand delivered every drop that came out of that garage. Realized they had a winning product on their hands and decided to move into our current facility, which is in Redmond, Washington, and it's still the same place since about 1997. So Mac and Jack are the sole owners and have been involved since day one. I came on board about 1997 and now involved in marketing and sales. We're actually filming today at the Park Pub, which is next to the Woodland Park Zoo. A special place for Mac and Jack's because it is the birthplace of African Amber, which is our #1 beer, still is today. Used to be only available on draft only, but now the pandemic forced us to bring it to your house, and so now you can find it in 6-packs and cans in most bars and restaurants. The original owner of the Park Pub was named Bruce Springer, and he actually named the beer. He had a hand-carved wooden handle with a cheetah on it, and he decided to call the beer African Amber. Mac and Jack went back to the drawing board knowing that they had to make a house beer for Bruce, and they came up with a clever idea to take the amber that they were already making and leave it unfiltered, which was kind of unheard of at the time, and also dry hop the beer, which is a process where you add hops into the finished beer after the beer is already brewed. So it creates a real nice floral and not quite bitter aspect to the beer that you normally would get with hop additions. It gives you all the goodness without any of the bitterness. So a good technique that was not widely used at the time that we still do today. We do it a little differently. We used to barrel hop all of our kegs, which means putting hops into each keg. We now have a proprietary apparatus that infuses the beer in line as we pass it from tank to tank, and basically like a large colander sieve, pass the beer through the fresh hops, and it comes out with that delicious dry hop flavor on the other side. So let's talk about the beer that you're going to have in your take-home bag that you'll be enjoying at your house. African Amber. It is a dry hopped, unfiltered amber ale, as I said. It uses a crystal malt, which gives it the real nice malty sweetness, and also the amber hue comes from the crystal malt, which is a medium roasted malt. This is what malt looks like. It is grain, and the degree to which you roast it gives you the color of your beer. So you roast it really dark with a chocolate malt. They call a highly roasted malt chocolate malt, or black patent malt, bunch of different names. That's going to give you a dark beer. Something like this is going to yield a lighter beer, you know, for your lagers and for your pales and the like. Secondly, we use lots of hops in our beer to make all of our beers. We use Cascade hops in this one in particular. It's a famous Northwest hop, wonderful flavor. If you were here, you could smell this is quite floral because hops are an actual flower of the hop plant, just like you see here, the little pine cone looking things. We in the Northwest grow the nation's, about 70% of the nation's needs for hops comes from Yakima Valley, and about 30% of the world's needs are produced here just locally. So that's why we're so fortunate to be in the Northwest, where we have access to all the best ingredients: malt, grain, water, you name it. Hops are used in beer as a preservative, and in the craft brewing industry, we use them not only just to preserve the beer, we also use them as a flavoring agent. So we use many more hops than we need just to preserve the beer. It actually becomes a spice, and the hop growers are always growing new hops to find different flavors, piney, grassy, citrusy, floral, and as they tweak their growing methods, it gives us more spices to work with in essence. So we're always looking for new stuff to tinker with, and the hop growers are providing it for us. So it's kind of fun, keeps brewing interesting. So up until a few years ago, Mac and Jack's was mostly a draft-only brewing company where you'd have to go to the bars and restaurants and places like the Park Pub to get our beer. It was not available in cans or bottles until a few years ago. Now we have a full line of beers you can find at most grocery stores, chains, you name it. We also do a barrel aged program here with some very specialty beers that we rest in bourbon barrel casks as well as wine casks to get the various flavors infused depending on what beer we're trying to create at the moment. This one happens to be a Saison, which is aged in a wine barrel to give it that nice sour complement. And this is an Imperial Stout aged in a bourbon barrel, which just really comes through with nice bourbon flavor. So we use the used barrels from a bunch of different distillers to make some of our special cask beers. Our standard lineup of cans that you'll find in the store begins over here, Resolution IPA. It is a really citrusy IPA using an Amarillo hop, and it has a slight haze to it, but it's delicious, crisp. If you like a citrusy IPA, that's a really good one. In the middle here is a Log Boom Pale Ale. It's an unfiltered pale ale with lots of hop flavor, not too much bitterness, real easy drinking, but definitely doesn't lack for hop flavor. On this side, we've got another IPA. This is more of a Northwest style IPA, real bitter and assertively hoppy on the palate. So these you can find all the time in the stores. should find them all the time in the stores. If you don't, please ask. And then we also have a seasonal lineup of beers, which has ranged from coffee porters to dry hop lagers to hazy IPAs and double IPAs and just whatever the brewers are interested in creating at the moment. So one upside to the pandemic is that it forced our hand to put the African Amber in a can and bring it to you in your home. Hope you're enjoying that. It was our #1 request, and so it was nice to see people finally being able to enjoy it in their home. But let's not forget, the best place to enjoy a beer is always at your local pub, and these guys have been hit hard with the current environment, dealing with the pandemic, and so I want to encourage everyone to go out and enjoy beer at their local pub as much as they can, as responsibly as they can, of course. And you can always find our beer on at the Park Pub. Justin's over here watching me do my thing. He's going to jump on and talk about the Park Pub here in just a little bit, but we thank him for having us be a part of his business because it is the birthplace of African Amber, and he's keeping that legacy going. And take it away, Justin.
We are open Wednesday through Sunday currently, and we're just located a couple blocks north of the zoo. Please stop in before or after your trip to the zoo, show us, present your zoo ticket, and we'd love to give you 10% off of your entire tab. We have inside seating, outside seating. Everything has been socially distanced, and all of our staff will be wearing a mask and making sure that your safety is kept in mind. We look forward to seeing you. Can't wait to share a pint with you guys and your friends and family. Thank you for supporting small businesses, and hope to see you soon.
Thank you to our friends over there at Ghostfish and Dave at Mac and Jack's. Next up, we have Lucky Envelope Brewing, followed by a visit from our resident rhinos, Taj and Glenn, as they enjoy some of their favorite snacks.
Hi, my name is Raymond Kwan. I'm one of the co-founders here at Lucky Envelope Brewing. We opened our doors 5 years ago in May of 2015. We are excited to participate in this evening's Brew with the Zoo. We know that things have been challenging and difficult, but we are very excited to be able to have this virtual event and to be able to share our beers with you this evening. The brewing philosophy here at Lucky Envelope Brewing is focused around culturally inspired beer. What culturally inspired beer means to us is pulling both from modern and historic brewing techniques and ingredients. We also like to incorporate flavors from food and drink from around the world. Some of these examples include our Meiji historic Chinese beer, which was derived from a research paper from an archaeological dig in China. In addition to that, we have also brewed beers such as the Landstrika, which is generally released on the National Day of Sweden, but was originally brewed on an island off the coast of Sweden as part of their homebrew culture. In addition to these two beers, we've also done other releases that have incorporated teas from parts of Asia and fruits from other parts of the world. And so for us, it's the ability to be able to craft both exciting and unique beers for the craft beer community. I'm now excited to introduce my business partner and co-founder, Barry Chan, who is our brewmaster, and he's going to take you through our beer as well as a little tour of our back of house.
Hi, my name is Barry Chan. I'm the head brewer and co-founder of Lucky Envelope Brewing. We opened to the public in May of 2015, just celebrated our 5-year anniversary. So welcome to our space, and I know that you're here to drink some beer, and I wanted to show you where it's all made, so come follow me. So this is our brewery right here. We are a 15-barrel brew house, which means we make 500 barrels of beer at a time. So all the beer that's produced at Lucky Envelope Brewing goes through these 3 tanks, every single one. This is our boil kettle our hot liquor tank here. This is where we get our hot water. This is our mash tun, where we mix our grains in with the hot water. And BK is the boil kettle, and that's where we boil our beer, add hops, all that stuff, get it clean. And actually right now we happen to be brewing a batch of our raspberry sour, so those are sitting there in the tank, or in these vessels right now, getting ready to be turned into delicious raspberry sour. So I can show you the tanks that we brew into. These are some of our smaller vessels here. If you see these 3, fermenter 1, fermenter 2, fermenter 3, these are our 15-barrel fermenters, so those will hold 1 batch of beer that we brew on our brew house. A lot of our lagers, our sours, our one-off beers will be brewed in a single batch here, and those get sent out to the public. And then this one is a little bit bigger, FV4. This one is used for things like beers that are a little more popular, things like our hazy IPA, our peanut butter cream stout, things that people really like, and then we'll brew 2 batches of beer into that. This little one here is one of my favorite additions. This is a small dairy tank that we converted into a holding tank so that we can make small batch beers. So we might be able to brew one single 15-barrel batch beer and put 5 barrels into this one. And we lovingly named this one Ariana Grande. And then the reason that you're at Lucky Envelope is because you're going to be drinking our ENIAC Mosaic IPA. And you've seen all the smaller tanks, and the big tank right up here is the one that we always brew our ENIAC into. So this one is a 60-barrel fermenter, and it holds up to 2,000 gallons of beer. So right now we have a large batch of our ENIAC Mosaic IPA in this tank, which is going to be canned off in a few days. And I believe this is going to be one of the beers that you'll be enjoying as part of the Brew at the Zoo. So the ENIAC Mosaic IPA is a West Coast style IPA. So it's hoppy, but not too bitter. It comes in around 60 IBUs and 6% alcohol. It's a really nice beer. It's one of my favorite drinking IPAs. The malt bill is pretty simple. It's clean and light, but there's a little bit of character in there. We use a lot of 2-row, a tiny bit of Crystal 15 just to give it a little bit of sweetness, and wheat malt to give it a nice head and body to the beer. Hops that we use are primarily Mosaic, Centennial, and Cascade. I really like those classic Cascade Centennial hops. They add a lot of classic piney grapefruit character, but the star of the show in this beer is Mosaic. And the really cool thing about Mosaic is it was named because it is a mosaic of flavors. There's a lot of notes to it. I love it because there's the upfront tropical fruit notes. Some batches you'll get blueberry, which is really cool. You'll get some passion fruit, some guava in there. But then it also has this really nice pungent back end, which some people describe as dank and a little bit of kind of sweet green onion. So I love this beer. It's really well balanced, and I love the way that the new school Mosaic plays with the old school Centennial and Cascade.
Thank you to Barry and all of you for joining us on our virtual tour of our brewing facility here, and thank you for joining us this evening at Brew with the Zoo. Again, we're very excited to have you here. We were excited to be invited to participate in this year's virtual event because the Woodland Park Zoo has been a strong part of our community. And just being down the street from the zoo has given us ample opportunities to not only bring our families to visit, but also to encourage some of our tourists who come into the brewery to go visit the zoo as well. Lucky Envelope has been heavily involved in conservation work since we started. We were awarded the Brewshed Alliance Award from Washington Wild several years ago and have been a continued partner of theirs to protect our watersheds in particular. As we all know, clean water equals clean beer, and the work that Washington Wild and the efforts of the Woodland Park Zoo and other local community organizations is very important to us here at Lucky Envelope. Thank you all for joining us tonight for Brew with the Zoo, and thank you for sharing our ENIAC Mosaic IPA with us. We hope that you enjoyed the event. If you would like to learn more about our beers or check out some of our unique offerings here at the tasting room, you can visit us Wednesday through Sunday at our tasting room with our outdoor patio open, and we also have packaged product to go as well. Thank you all for joining the event.
Hello, my name is Chad, and I'm a keeper here at Woodland Park Zoo. I'm here to introduce you to two of my good friends right here, Taj and Glenn. These are greater one-horned rhinos, also known as Indian or Nepalese rhino because of where they're found throughout the world. They're also from another country called Bhutan as well. And you can see why they're called greater one-horned rhinos, because they do only have one horn. Now these guys are actually one of the largest land mammals in the world. Right now the boys are just about 3,000 pounds, but that's only half of what they will weigh. They're going to be close to 6,000 pounds when they're fully grown, almost 6 feet tall at the shoulder, and close to 13 feet long. So they've got a lot of growing to do. These guys are what we call herbivores, so they eat mostly plants, And right now, they're getting about 60 pounds of food a day, believe it or not. Now, greater one-horned rhinos have a lot of really, really cool adaptations. And the first one you can probably see are those lips that they have, especially that upper lip right there. That's what we call a semi-prehensile lip. And what that does is it takes the food in front of it and it helps move it right into their mouth, just like that. Now that lip takes it onto that big conveyor belt of a tongue, past the 24 molars that they have, and down into that throat and then into their stomach. Now, if you notice, rhinos have very, very large nostrils and also very, very large ears, which means that these guys can hear really, really well and also smell really, really well. But if you take a look at their eyes are very, very small and they're on the side of their head, which makes it very, very difficult for them to see. Think about if your eyes were where your ears were right now. It'd be very, very difficult to see. And that's a sound right there, one of the sounds that these guys make. They do have a lot of different sounds that they make, everything from a roar to a chuff to a snort, even a growl, believe it or not. And Taj actually likes to moo. And you can see I'm feeding these guys some of their favorite foods, which is actually sweet potatoes, carrots, and also apples. Normally, their main diet would be hay, which you might have seen them eating just a little bit earlier. It's all over the ground right there. Now, these guys are what we call an ungulate. In fact, they are a three-toed ungulate. If you look at their feet right there, you notice that they do have 3 individual toes on their front feet and their rear. The closest living relative to these guys are the Malayan tapirs, and we actually do have some of those right here at the zoo as well. Very, very cool. And you can see a lot of similarities within these two guys. Now, their skin. Their skin is actually very, very thick. And if you look at it, a lot of people say it looks just like armor. And it is. It's exactly what it is. In fact, it is. It's very much like armor. Because you won't see it now, but these guys will, as they grow, they're going to start to grow very, very sharp and long incisors, lower incisors, that as they get as they get older, they'll become aggressive with one another, and they'll actually use those to fight. Hence the reason for that very, very thick and armored-like skin. It's going to be there to actually help protect everything that these guys need protected, like the jugular vein, their heart area, their stomach area, groin, and even their tail actually fits in this really, maybe we can get Taj to turn around, fits in this very, very cool channel, makes it much more difficult, perfect, right on cue, for the other rhino to actually bite that tail right there. So it's very, very cool. You can see it looks like they actually have pants on, believe it or not. But that skin that's hanging right there, like I said, actually helps protect the groin and the legs and actually part of the stomach as well too. So it's very, very cool. Now, I want to take you to one of the most important things, and that is the horn of this rhino. Now these guys tend to have much smaller horns than, say, the African rhino. 1.5 to 2 feet is pretty much full size for these guys, but they do wear it down. They do what's called grooming it, so they get to make whatever the shape they want to, very, very similar to what we would do with our fingernails. And it's kind of a cool similarity there. Their horn is actually made out of the same material as our fingernails. It's called keratin. And their horn grows just like a fingernail. Now, if you think of our thumbnail, for example, as their horn, our thumbnail grows out. Just think of theirs as growing up right there. It sits on a pad that's on the top of their skull right there. Now, there are a lot of different cultures that believe rhino horn has quite a few different magical and medicinal purposes. Can cure everything from a hangover and a headache all the way up to like cancer. But that is not true. We know that if we chew on our fingernails, we don't get any better if we're not feeling well. So it's one of the reasons why these guys, the numbers are becoming low and low. Now, at the turn of the century, there was about 200 of these rhinos left. Right now, we're very, very fortunate to have about 3,650. That's still not a lot, but it is getting better and better. And one of the reasons why we're doing that is we're taking very, very good care of protecting these guys. Now, one of the things you guys can do is actually help to spread the word and to tell other people about what the true story of the rhinoceros' horn is. Now, thanks so much for joining me. It's been great to have you, and I hope you end up loving rhinos just as much as I do.
Welcome back after that quick look at Taj and Glenn, our resident rhinos. Aren't they amazing? I would say that they have to be the cutest 3,500-pound buddies I've ever seen. All right, now it's time to go over to another brewery, so let's check out Urban Family Brewing.
Hello, my name is Hoyt, and I'm the sales manager for Urban Family Brewing Company in Ballard, Washington. We wanted to participate with Brew With the Zoo this year because we love the idea of being part of something bigger that the community loves. You know, I've personally been to the zoo a few times, and it's always fun to take family from out of town. I'm from Missoula, Montana, where we don't really have zoos, aside from just walking outside and seeing the bear that's pooping in your yard. But here, we're in Seattle, and we wanted to be a part of Brew With the Zoo and feature our American light lager. Amplified magnitude. It's kind of silly, really, because it's a lager, and you know, a lot of people don't think lagers are terribly exciting because they're just made with malt. They don't have crazy ingredients like bubblegum or strawberries or stuff like that in it. But we love lager. It's easy to drink. American light lager specifically is 4.2%, so it's very, this will be a nice break, I think, during this brew fest that y'all are taking part of right now. I hope you're enjoying responsibly from the comfort of your own home. But yeah, this is American light lager. What that means is really low grain malt, low grain bill. We put a little bit of flaked rice to kind of give it some body. All right. Yeah. We call these crispy boys around here because they're nice and crispy. We actually didn't really have a substantial lager program. Believe it or not, lagers are actually really kind of a tougher beer to do. They require lower temperature, they require a little bit more care. And we ended up finding an amazing brewer, Will, who used to work among other places up at Bosque and Lagunitas Brewing. He runs our lager program here. So this is one of his delicious imbibements. An American light lager called Amplified Magnitude from Urban Family Brewing Company. Hope you guys are enjoying it at home now, as I am currently.
Tell us a little bit about the tasting notes.
So American light lagers are going to be very light. It's not going to be as light as like a table beer or a Gazette, but as far as like, you know, stouts, ambers, IPAs, you're going to have a little bit of little touch of sweetness to it. It's not going to stick on your tongue very long. It should roll off the tongue really nicely. It should be crisp. It should be a little bit dry. Should have some bubbles. Head's not going to stick around too much because the head retention is usually because you have a lot of extra sugars in your beer. So like a big IPA, it's going to have you know, hop oils and that kind of stuff that's give you a nice big billowy creamy head. This one is just a little bit lighter. Anybody familiar with Urban Family Brewing, you probably remember us from over in Magnolia. Well, earlier this year we moved to Ballard. We enjoyed about a month and a half of the potential that Ballard held for having all y'all come and hang out before March. However, our patio is still open. We've been trying to be a little bit limber in how we give you our beer. A couple things you may not know about us. We decided this year we're making slushy beers. So some of our barrel-aged beers, we're deciding to add a few extra ingredients to and turn them into slushies. We've used some very interesting ingredients. We used black lime. We've used marshmallow root. We have Bobby Wood, one of the few Cicerones certified. Okay, Bobby Wood. Bobby Wood is one of the few master Cicerones. There's like 3 levels. There's 4 levels of Cicerone. There's like everyone's here, we're servers, and then you learn a little bit more here, and then Bobby Wood's here, and there's like 12 of these people in the world, so like he's here. Anyway, all that means is he really knows how flavors work. So he's been concocting a lot of our slushy beers. but we still love collabing. We're actually, before I came in front of you, we're talking about our next collab that's going to be coming out in October. It's under wraps currently, but stop by sometime and maybe you'll get an idea of who we're going to collab with next. So the patio is still open, and we recently have been brainstorming on how to keep y'all dry. Encourage you to come down and see how good of a job we're doing. Monday through Monday, we're open 7 days a week from noon until 9 p.m. Feel free to stop by and say hello. Thanks for coming in. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for enjoying Brew with the Zoo. We couldn't do this without you guys, so cheers.
A big thank you to Urban Family Brewing. We hope you enjoyed hearing from them. Now we're going to turn it over to Janelle for another special Call of the Wild. And don't forget to stay tuned afterwards to get an opportunity for you to win a Call of the Wild experience for yourself. And we're going to wrap up the evening with one last visit with Georgetown Brewing Company.
Thanks, Scott. Hi, everybody. It's Janelle again from the Woodland Park Zoo. And now I have brought Eduardo, our 3-banded armadillo. He's scurrying around in his little play area here. Eduardo, like I said, is an armadillo. An armadillo means little armored one. There are lots of different types of armadillos that can be found in different parts of the world, but they all have a few different things in common. Armadillos are all insectivores, meaning that their favorite food are delicious bugs. As you can see, he's eating a variety of different bugs now. He's got some mealworms and some waxworms, looking pretty delicious there. Armadillos are all excellent diggers. Since they love bugs, they have lots of different adaptations to help them find them, including a really great sense of smell. He's going to use that sniffer to find some of these bugs right over there. They don't really have a very good eyesight since a lot of their food is underground. They don't really need those eyes anyways. And as you can see as he's walking around, he's got really long front nails. So armadillos walk on the tips of those front nails, kind of like they're wearing high-heeled shoes. And then they putter around on those back feet a little bit more flat, so they kind of look like hooves back there. 3-banded armadillos can be found in South America, though there are types of armadillos that you can find here in the United States. Those are going to be the 9-banded armadillos. And you can tell the different types of armadillos by their banding or how all of their plates fit together on their back. Armadillo's armor is made out of bony epidermal, and then it's covered in little overlapping scales called scutes. And by looking at those plates of armor and looking at how many bands of flexible skin they have in between those bands of armor, that's going to help you determine what type of armadillo you're looking at. So as you can see, Eduardo has 1, 2, 3 different bands, making him a 3-banded armadillo. And 3-banded armadillos are special because they are the only type of armadillo that can curl up into a ball. So when a little armadillo like Eduardo either feels scared or uncomfortable or feels threatened for any reason, he will curl up into a little ball. And by curling into a ball, all of those plates of armor fit together like a perfect puzzle. And that's going to keep him nice and protected. They're really strong, so when they close up into that ball, that's going to make sure that they are nice and protected. That's going to protect their soft belly. That's going to protect even their eyes. Everything fits together so perfectly. Now, armadillos have that heavy armor, and they're really dense. So Eduardo here is even heavier than you might think he is. So in their natural environment, as they're cruising around, you might think to yourself, well, what happens when they run into like a body of water? Can an armadillo swim? And in fact, when they encounter a body of water, they have a couple different options. Their first option is to take a big breath of air and to inflate their intestines, and that helps them to float. And so if they take that big breath, they can float along the top of the water and swim to the other side, whether it's a river or a lake. Their second option is to exhale all of that air out, sink to the bottom of the river or the lake, and then they can just walk along the bottom of the river. Can you imagine being a fish and seeing an armadillo walking past you along the bottom of the river? That would be pretty funny. Now you all have been waiting for your next opportunity to win a Call of the Wild with one of our amazing ambassador animals in your very own home. And this is your opportunity to do so with Eduardo. Our trivia question about armadillos is, how long can an armadillo like Eduardo hold his breath? If they have to walk all along the bottom of the river to get to the other side, how long can they hold their breath? If you think you know the answer to that trivia question, please email marketing@zoo.org. Or if you just want to get a Call of the Wild with Eduardo or one of our other amazing ambassador animals, you can go to zoo.org/Call of the Wild and book a Call of the Wild for yourself. Well, we hope you guys have had an amazing night here tonight. Eduardo having a great time cruising around, enjoying lots of his favorite snacks with you. We hope you have a wonderful rest of your evening. Thanks, everybody. Bye.
Hey gang, this is Jackson. We're here at Georgetown Brewery. It's where I work. I'm up here in the retail side. That's what you see behind me. We're still open for beer to go sales. Obviously, the air quality is less than ideal and the health quality is less than ideal. So we're currently just open for beer to go sales. Really happy y'all at Brew With the Zoo are joining us today. So thank you so much for taking your time and being interested in Georgetown. I'm sure maybe y'all know we're starting on that magical time of year called fresh hop season. So we're all really excited here at the brewery. It's a time when hops are ready for harvest. Most hops are cured, dried, kind of like your herbs and spices. But now's that magical time of year when hops are ready to be harvested straight off the vine and into the boil in under 24 hours, giving you those more aroma-rich and super fresh, green, sticky, and a little resinous hop flavors that we all love. And in particular around this time of year, as Washington is the #1 grower of hops in the United States. So yeah, that's kind of what we're up to right now. In addition to, we're rolling out our Oktoberfest beer, Tomtober. I think we're actually gonna release that later today, so it'll be out in plenty of time for all your Oktoberfest needs. So yeah, that's kind of what we're up to here at Georgetown right now. Here to talk a little bit more about what we're doing on the operations side of things will be a good buddy, co-worker, Zach, here to help you through things. So get excited for him. He's a load of fun.
Hello everyone, my name is Zachary and I'm a brewer here at Georgetown Brewing Company in Seattle, Washington. And I'm here to share and talk to you today about one of our favorite beers here at Georgetown, which is our Bodhisattva IPA. Bodhi is 6.9% alcohol by volume. The recipe, we start out, malt bill is about 82% two-row, just as our base malt. Then we add about 10% Munich malt, gives it a nice touch of sweetness, and round it out with 8% of rolled oats. And that's gonna give it that nice silky, smooth texture that makes Bodhi always go down super smooth. Hop profile wise, you're gonna be getting a lot of mandarin, big citrus notes all around, a little bit of grapefruit zest here and there. Some people even liken it to a little bit of that old school orange Julius flavor and aroma. We get that and achieve that by adding just a small amount of bittering hops in the form of Columbus or CTZ in the kettle. At flame out, we add a fair amount of Chinook hops from the Yakima Valley. And in the whirlpool, we finish it up with a fair amount of Citra hops, because everybody loves Citra. Dry hop wise, we add equal portion of Citra, Chinook, and Mosaic hops, also from the Yakima Valley. That's really what rounds out all those different citrus profiles that everybody knows and loves about Bodhi. People love it so much that it is now our most popular beer, and that we produce more Bodhisattva than any other beer here at Georgetown. It has garnered us many different awards over the years, but most notably GABF, Great American Beer Festival in 2016. Bodhi brought us home gold in the American IPA category, which is the most highly contested category year after year at GABF. So we hope you enjoy it. I know we do here. And thank you for coming out to Brew with the Zoo, and keep on supporting your local breweries. Always goes down smooth.
Oh, thank you so much, Zach, for all the information and what you're doing here at Georgetown. And thank y'all at Brew at the Zoo for joining me here today. Don't forget, we are open for beer sales to go 7 days a week now, 10 to 6 every day except Sunday when we close at 5. Running a pretty sweet deal for the Seahawks season. You can get 2 growlers of Manny's for only $12, and we're going to run that as long as the Seahawks are in. So if they make the playoffs, you'll get that deep into next year. So yeah, come on down, see us at Georgetown, and thank you so much.
Thank you so much for joining us tonight and for your support of Woodland Park Zoo. We'd like to give all of those who made tonight possible another big round of recognition. So here we go. A huge thank you to Elysian, Night Owl Pumpkin Ale, and their Contact Haze IPA. Southern Resident Chinook's Hazy IPA from Two Beers Brewing. Seattle Cider's Spiced Peach Cider. Space Rex Hazy IPA from Fremont Brewery. Matchless's Old World Lager. Grapefruit IPA from the Ghostfish Brewing Company, Mac and Jack's Amber Ale, Lucky Envelope's Antioch Mosaic IPA, Amplified Magnitude from Urban Family Brewing, and Georgetown Brewing Company's Bodhisattva IPA. And tonight wouldn't be possible without you. Don't forget to visit us here at Woodland Park Zoo and spend some extra time with some of the animals you've seen tonight. You can make an appointment by going to zoo.org/visit to make an appointment and reserve your time slot. Thank you again for joining us tonight, and we hope to see you soon right here at Woodland Park Zoo.